Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Good morning, Leilin Ishmasimi Ruspas Mordechai. Today's shir is being sponsored by Michael Lager, in memory of my father, Shmuel Yaakov ben Avram Rafal, who always had a savor panim yafois and always treated people with kavod. By Shmuel Melech ben Pesach, in honor of the 60 yards out of his beloved Nana, Bubby, grandmother, Joy's fast, and the warmth, wisdom, and creativity that she emanated to her last days in this world. Parnas HaChodesh, Shia Greenfield, Green Star Electrical Contracting, Yossi Klein, Superior Plumbing, Muncie. We got a good one, Rabbi Isai. Here's a really good one. By the way, enough of this tooting into the horn. This thing right over here has to go. This, I was told by the official streak taker. This is absolutely wrong. This is Panovich math. At 3:30 in the morning, I thought that 15 plus 375 equals 400. Tooted my horn too early. It's only 390. So we're not going to celebrate 400. Emalasat. Listen to this. Rabbi Isai, hi Rebelli. This comes from Joe Tribbiani. And the subject is, dare you to read out loud. Now, he knows me well. He knows that a dare is the best way to get me to do anything. Hi Rebelli, I personally love your shir. So inspiring, so well prepared. Can't say it's the first siyum. Listen to this. Here comes the shtach. Can't say it's the first siyum. Or my Rebbe hit me. I didn't open up a Gemara in 400 years. Or anything exotic like that. Just love to learn. No, it's another line here. Just love to learn by you, the daily daf. Puts the whole day ahead of me into perspective, what's important and what's just needed. Sha'anurotzim. And really thank you for what you deliver, respected. But my question to you, here we go. Lately, the shir by you has changed significantly. It became very commercialized. It started with a simple today's daf is sponsored, then the turning of daf started as a joke. Fast became serious. Today we're up to 3 sponsors a day for turning the daf, 2 for today's daf, and just have been speaking of sponsors for every Mishnah. Hashem Yirachem. The worldwide Magid Shir Tour, Chicago, 5 towns, Borough Park, Muncie, and caps and apps and t-shirts and coats and magnets, coffee cups, and many more. He forgot the main thing. Okay. By the way, I got to stop for a second. I don't know how long ago it was. Somebody sent this to me, anonymously, of course. It says in the bottom, "Good morning, Rabbi Isai." So I have to tell you a great mice. I said after shir, the Olam said I should say it now, so I'll say it now. I'm doing a little construction here. I want to make a room for me to learn right over here, 5 feet away from where I'm sitting. So a Jewish contractor who happens to be my Chavrus's brother, he tells me a Maisa Shahaya, he saw this with his own eyes. He said, I was standing inside my dining room, and the Arab that was putting the tile says, Balabait, bo. And I ignored him. He says, Balabait, bo. Nothing. So he got really mad. He's like, so the guy comes on, he says, listen, let me explain to you what's going on here. This guy can't answer you. This happened to be in my living room, and he thought it was real. So he started talking to it. Anyways, this is the original picture of this, and the kids are so ishkoyach. So the guy forgot about all the real merch. Al Capone, we get the shtoch here. There's a world tour. Nabach. What happened to the let's learn Torah attitude you always had and have? I can tell you that lately I visited your amazing MDY. The place is empty, no Magid Shir. Well, it's not empty. There's at least 10, 15 guys there watching the Shir. What is MDY less this? Why, maybe he meant, why is MDY less than the sukkah of that guy in Muncie, Brooklyn, and Chicago? With lots of love and respect, adding a picture from back in the day with lots of respect, anonymous. His name is Joe Tribbiani. Not really hiding. If you want me to come over, I will. And here's the picture from back in the day, me holding an owl. Okay, got it. I have no answers. I don't know. Listen, at the end of the day, I would prefer not to do this, but I think people want to talk about their relatives and whatever it is. If you have a better eitzah, I'm all up for it. But the grand tour in America, of course, I mean, I have to go visit the guys that we learned together. It's mishpacha. What, you don't go visit your mishpacha when you go to America? Zog de Eli Mishnah. We're Daf Amud Aleph, brand new Mishnah, which basically means it's a brand new Masechta today. We're starting all over again. Brand new stuff. And it happens to be that today is a Shas Sugya. We're going to be touching upon things that we have, like the most amazing Sugyas. Safek Meitzmidei Vadai, Chazaka, called the Parish Meruba Parish, Bekitzer, the real Sugyas. Says the Mishnah, Ein Choshishin Shema Gira Chulda. Now I need to introduce you to the star of today's daf. This is a Chulda. It's a weasel. It's a feisty animal. This Chulda, as you know, when I learned in Tifrach when I was a young kid, before my bar mitzvah, they had Chuldas there, and a Chulda went into one of the chicken coops on the Moshav and killed tons of chickens, but they said, I remember, maybe I was wrong, I was a little kid then, but they said like all the chickens are treif because we don't know what it really grabbed onto, what not. They'll just go in and destroy. They'll kill 100 chickens in one shot. So these chuldas, which I saw that they'll kill an animal 4 times its size, like a rabbit or whatever, very feisty animal. They have them here in Eretz Yisrael. Ein chayshishim shema gera chulda mibayis lebayis umimakim lemakim. You know, in those days, these chuldas used to live within the houses. So perhaps you checked your house. 5 minutes later, the chulda came, took the chavetz from one room, brought it to another room, or from your next door neighbor, brought it into your house. We're not chayshish. Dimkein mechatzer lechatzer umeir leir ein ladav seif. You can't be chayshish because if you're chayshish, then you can never check. So it's interesting because, okay, so you can never check. So, but maybe you have to check. Maybe you have to just get together, everybody check at the same exact time, and how's this a raya? Usually we bring a raya, a pasuk. It seems like if it's really difficult and impossible, the Torah wouldn't be mechayev, Rabbanon wouldn't be mechayev. Here's a yisoid, it's a yisoid. If it's impossible, it's just, so then it can't be that's what the halacha is. Says the Gemara, Taimid chazina de shakal. We're talking about in a situation, you didn't see the chulda. We don't know. Ha-chazina de shakal. But if you saw the chulda and you saw him carrying chametz into your house, chayshinan, and you are chayshish, ubay b'dika, you have to do b'dika. V'amai. Why do you have to do b'dika? Neima achalte. Based on another Gemara, we have to assume that whatever this chulda grabs onto, he's going to eat. He's hungry, he's eating. So even if you see him with a donut going into your house, he probably ate it. Miloit nan. Didn't we learn? Interesting halacha. In those days, the floors were made out of dirt. What's a guy supposed to do if his wife has a miscarriage? Take a shovel, you make a nice little hole in the middle of your living room, you put the body in there, and you cover it. Shalom Yisrael. So, all these houses are tummy. Either because of oil, you're walking over the caver, or we have to be concerned, according to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, that doesn't go with oil. We have to be concerned that you're actually going to be touching a bone. You're going to be touching part of the mace. Will come, pop out, the chulda will come. How long does a guy have to live in a house in order for you to be chayshish that he already did a burial over there? Very interesting halacha, because it takes 40 days for a vlad to be noitzar, so I need 40 days for him to live here. Maybe he came with his pregnant wife and she had a miscarriage 4 days into it? No. This is a Gzeir D'Rabbanan. This is so they made rules. You have to wait 40 days. Okay. Interesting to understand, but that's the rule. He's a single guy, he comes in. Why would he have a burial? Where would he get this uber? No. The chashad al znus, perhaps she had a miscarriage. But it finishes off like this. If there's a weasel, a pig, if these animals could walk around his house, then you could assume that the weasel dug up this body, this nafel, and devoured it, and memela, there's no chashash for tumah. Oh. So in our case, that a weasel is holding a donut, what's the difference? For a nafel, you say, if you know that there's a weasel running around, there's no nafel. How come when you see him with the donut in his mouth, you are choshesh? So if we just stop here for a second before we get to the answer, I just want to point out Tosfos. Tosfos says something very interesting. That in Chutz La'aretz, what about a kohen? Could he walk into somebody's house? I never heard of such a thing. Can't go into a non-Jewish home that maybe there's a body in the floor? Says Tosfos, this whole idea doesn't exist in Chutz La'aretz. It only exists in Eretz Yisrael. That was the Gzeira, just like we say, there's a 40-day period. It's only in Eretz Yisrael, not in Chutz La'aretz. Okay. Fine. So we have a question from a donut to a nafel. Habe basar, habe lechem. You know, there's actually a restaurant called Basar Lechem. A whole new meaning now. But when you sit at the Shabbos table, you're not gonna go crazy on the bread. You know, you always have some bread left over. The roast always goes bye-bye. The weasel has good taste. He's going for the basar. Basar, he'll finish up. Bread, no. We'll take a little bite. He's not going to finish the whole thing, and that's why you have to do a b'diko. This guy. This guy. Before Shleimer for Yaakov Yehuda ben Gittel, I think he's out of the hospital already. I didn't find out yet. I think I know. There's a lot of commotion about going back to the Beis Medrash. We have to figure out how to do it because the sound is not good. This is not good. The sponsorships are not good. It's too commercialized. From that, we have to go back to the Beis Medrash. It's going to be but we have to do it in a way that's going to be beneficial for everybody. That the guys on Zoom don't feel left out. We have to do it in a good way. We'll have to figure it out today. You guys in the Beis Medrash right now, Nachum Seltzer, Avi Factor, my brother Yosef Ehrman, Avi Gargir, Reuven Chait, come up with a plan. Figure it out. Okay. The sound is better today, different. We try to fix it at 12 o'clock at night. I don't know. It's a major problem. Okay. So it has to do with the internet, not so much the computer. Because the Zoom is not on a mic. There's no mic on the Zoom. The mic is for YouTube only. So I don't know what happened yesterday. Much better. But in the Beis Medrash, we have less issues. A weasel is not going to leave over any meat. Similar to people. Leave over the bread. Omar Rava has a different. What's the question? Again, when it comes to a nafel, we assume that if there's a weasel or a chazer, he's going to get rid of the nafel. But if there's bread, he won't get rid of it 100%. Therefore, you're mechuyev to do another bdika. What's the difference? Amarava hai mai, says Rashi. Mai kushya. It's a very strong language of this. The question doesn't even start. Bishloi mahasam emor have emor loy emor have emor loy have. It's possible that there's a nafel. This is possible. There's no nafel. I mean, was his wife pregnant? Did she miscarry? What do you mean? And even on the side that there was some sort of nafel, and they couldn't afford a burial plot, and they decided to bury it in the dining room. it's very possible that there's something else that happened there. There's a weasel. The vadi, the chazina, the shakal. You saw the weasel walking around with chametz. Who told you how much he ate? One thing is certain. He was walking around with a donut. What happened afterwards, I don't know. So therefore, have a safek uvadai. So this is a case of a safek and a vadai. Vadai that he was eating chametz, that he had chametz in his mouth. Safek whether he ate it completely. Bein safek might be vadai. And the halacha always is that when you have vadai and a safek, the vadai wins. The certainty wins over the possible. Maybe it's possible. You're right, but one thing's certain: he was walking around with chametz. So do something about it. As the Gemara, vein safek might be vadai. Votanya chaver shemeis. Chaver is not a yeki. Chaver is somebody that's very careful, like we mentioned the other day, very careful with trumas, maisrus, tuma. So a chaver, somebody who's careful with, in our case, with trumas and maisrus. Shemeis. Viniach megura melea peiros. So what happened was, the last day of his life, he's filling up a storehouse full of fruit, and he dropped dead from exhaustion. He worked the whole day, putting fruit in, and Nebuch, he had a heart attack. Even if it happened that day, he died the same day as he was storing his house, the storehouse, the warehouse. I can assume that what happened was he did miruach, he smoothed it out, so there was a gemar malacha, he finished what he had to do, then it turns into, from gemar malacha, at this point it turns into tevel, and then he brought it into the house, then he's chayev in trumas and maisrus, and then he took the trumas and maisrus. He went into his room, and he installed the neshama. Okay. Says the Gemara, V'hacha devadi tvili haniperi. One thing we know for sure, these fruit have a chiyuv meiser. That's a given. It's taxes, right? That's one of the things that's pasha. You have to give taxes, you have to give meiser. V'safik musarim, v'safik lo musarim, but we still have a suffix. So on the one hand we have a vadai, on the other hand we have a suffix. Did this chaver guy take the meiser before he was niftar? Because it's suffix might be devada. And yet we say, no problem. He for sure took it. He for sure took meiser's. Why for sure? It's a suffix. We don't know. His suffix overcomes the vadai. So here we have a case of suffix is stronger than a vadai. Says the Gemara, oh, no, it's not a suffix in a vadai. Hasam vadayu vadayu. The vadai ma'asri. In the case of a Talmud Chacham, it's 100%, or halachically it's 100% that he took a meiser. Why? We have a chazaka that a chaver, somebody who's careful his entire life, he's not going to go to his bedroom to rest and have a heart attack there before he finishes taking meiser. It's chazaka. I see his fruit, so it's halachically it's 100%. The vadei chiyuv of meiser versus the vadei chazaka that he took meiser, they cancel each other out. It's a vadei and a vadei. It's not a suffix. A chazaka is a vadei. V'boy seima suffix of suffix. Okay, you know what? Let's look at it a different way. We have two sveikas here. The what? What's your suffix? Maybe he didn't take meiser, but on the other hand, maybe there's no chiyuv meiser. Why? Dilma mikara emedeloi tvili. Maybe you didn't reach the tevel point. What's going on here? Proud of my thing. Step number one is miruach. You see, he takes this tool, he smooths it out. Step number two is he has to bring all this in this state of miruach, has to bring it into the front door. If he brings it through the skylight, or he brings it from the back door, or he brings it in a form that's not finished. For instance, let's say, I think I have a picture here. By mistake, I had a picture here, but okay. In this form, B'moitshela, it's shaf. That's not gemar melacha, not chayiv and meiser. Forever, according to Rashi. So if I bring this into my house, like this, and in the house I want to save 10%, it's a lot of money, 10% of my entire crop. I don't have to give it to the Levi. I have a great idea. I bring it into the house, into my warehouse like this, and in the warehouse I bring it to this state over here, potter from Trumas and Meisers. Why? Because I need 2 steps. Step number 1, it has to be finished outdoors. Miruach, everything, smooth it out. Step number 2, I have to bring it from the front door. Anything less than a front door, from a window, from a skylight, from a back door, potter. So Mamela says the Gemara very good. Who told you what the chaver did? Maybe the chaver is a chaver man. He wants to get out of this meiser business. I don't know, that's a nice thing. But he wants to get out of it, and he has a very good idea how to do it, halachically. He's going to bring everything from the back door. He's going to bring everything b'moitshela in its shaft, and he's potted from meiser. Shalom Aleichem Gedaliah's father. I don't know your name, but I know you're from San Francisco over there or something. And Shalom Aleichem. Nice to have you on board. Dilma meikara ema delay tvili. Marim Adam, you could do trickery. Marim Adam al tuasoi. Umachnisa b'moitshela. You bring it into the house in its shaft when it's unfinished. The animal could eat it. You could eat it maybe ba'arai, but your animals can certainly eat it. So Mamela, the Gemara's teretz is that it's a suffix and a suffix. A suffix against a suffix. You have a suffix whether the chaver took meiser. You have a suffix whether it's chayiv meiser. On the tzad that it's chayiv meiser, maybe the chaver took meiser right before he dropped dead. So Mamela, you don't have to take meiser. Ask the Gemara, ben suffix meisim devadai. What han yomer Rabbi Yehuda? There's a story we had in Avodah Zarah. Ma'isa b'shevchasei shel meitzik echad berimoy. We had it even more recently in Nida, I think. Ma'isa b'shevchasei shel meitzik echad. There was a guy that was meitzik. In Hebrew they say al tatzikli, you're meitzik. He used to chep at people. He was a gavra alimo, says Rashi. He was a Jew, but he was a tough guy. Why exactly it happened with him, I don't know, but it just so happened to be he was a meitzik. And he lived in Rimoy. She'tila nefel lebar. His slave, Shivcha, put a miscarriage into a pit. Whether it's hers, not hers, seems like it was hers. Taisvis, Ayin Sham. And now we're turning to Daf Tes Amud Beis. From now on, no more sponsors because I got this email. Uba koyen, kidding. Lili nishmas rucham chaya fruma aleh shalom bas reb doiv pinchas yibad l'chaim toivim. And Lili nishmas reb Yechiel Shragim and Avram Alevi aleh shalom. Lili nishmas Kalman from the 5 towns father Menachem Mendel ben Simcha. And sponsored by the Fine and Pearl families in the schos of Refuah Shlema from Mindel Elka Bas Edel. By the way, Mr. what's his name? Joe Sharabani. Look at this. This is what Kalman wanted me to read every day. So that's commercialized. That I don't do. Uba Kayan, so what happened? So the Shifcha tosses the Nefel into a pit. Uba Kayan, he's a Kayan Shaita, says Taisvis, or a big Amaretz. The hates its boy, Leidaim Zacharhu im Nekevahi. He stuck his head right over the pit. Now, if there's a body in the pit, the tumah goes upwards and hits the kohen right in the face. Now he peeks to see. Why is he peeking? He needs to know what they threw in the pit. Is it a zachar and the woman is tummy for 7 days and she has 33 tahara days, freebies? Or did she give birth to a girl and she's tummy for 14 days and she has 66 freebies? I need to know. And Chachamim said, this woman is tar mipnei shechulda ubardalis mitzuyin sham. You have the weasels, you have the bardalism. There's no body. when the kohen stuck his head over the pit, there's no miscarriage there. As the Gemara, what happened? One thing is 100% sure, they threw the nafel into the bar. Now you have a suffix. It's possible an animal ate it, it's possible not, but that's called a suffix. It's possible at the point, the time when the kohen stuck his head over the pit, there was still tumah, because the suffix. Here's a case of suffix overruns the vada. Says the Gemara, no. We don't know, we don't have 100% certainty that there's tumah in the bar. She threw something in there. She threw something. So we don't know if it has any sort of, if it's in the category of an nafel, and even if it is, maybe an animal came and ate it. It says it was an nafel. We just don't know if it was a zocher and a keva. This is what it meant. First of all, we want to see, was it just a sack with nothing in it, or is it a real nafel? Fine. So again, it's a suffix. No, I'll give you, just like the Gemara said before, I could give you an answer on a vada and a vada, and I could give you an answer on a suffix and a suffix. You're right, it's 100% a nafel. And if the kohen went over it, he's 100% tamei. However, given the chuldo bardas mitzuim sham, vada giru ba'ishato. One thing we know for sure, if there's an animal there, there's a weasel, he is going to remove this nafel 100%. But before we said that he doesn't eat the whole donut, yes, he won't eat the whole donut. One thing is for sure, that the weasel removed it. That's their nature. We know their nature. If there's a weasel, he's going to grab and run. How much he eats, he's going to leave over. There's two different things here. A weasel doesn't have to finish his whole meal when it comes to bread. When it comes to meat, he will finish. But when it comes to dragging it away, he's going to drag it away. So if there's a hole going into the pit, he dragged his body out of there. He dragged the nafel out of there. I just want to show you something very interesting based on Rashi and based on Tosfos. So this is what we come up with. Call this a weasel, okay? Here's a pit, and he takes the body into here, and he brings the body in here. Says Rashi, very important. First of all, where the weasel hangs out must be more than a tefach. Why? Because let's say it's less than a tefach, you have the concept of tumah boikei avoila. The tumah needs an area to expand in, and tumah is claustrophobic. So if it doesn't have a full tefach, it busts out of there and comes on top. If you walk on top, you'll become tamei. So therefore, says Rashi, where this arrow is, you have more than a tefach. But there's something else going on here. It's important to know this halacha as well. If there's tumah in here and it has where to go, it could still escape from the hole of this, wherever this chulda went into. And if the tumah escapes through that hole and into your pit, so now your pit is full of tumah. So when you stick your head over the pit, you become tamei. Therefore, you have to go in Tosfos, and Tosfos says, well, this hole is narrow. This hole doesn't have a tefach. And that hole constricts the tumah it remains within the burrow that this weasel dug. So there's two things. There's a less than a tefach hole, but there's more than a tefach ceiling somewhere in there to contain the tumah, and therefore it's contained. Says the Gemara, we're not choishish that a weasel came and dragged the body of a katani seifa mashim yishayir yenechena betzina. If you have chametz, you did b'dikas chametz. Happens every year. We're in the middle of dinner, you have to do b'dikas chametz, you take all your cake, your stuff, you put it on the side somewhere. Mashim yishayir yenechena betzina. You got to be careful with it. Shlei yitzorach b'diga achrav. You don't want something to go missing or whatever, and then you're going to have to do another bdika. You just finished checking your house, took you a few hours, and all of a sudden you're going to have an issue. So you see that we're chayshish that a chulda, a weasel, is going to come grab your stuff. Why are you telling me that we're not concerned? Typically, you're not concerned. Only if you saw with your own eyes, but otherwise not. Very interesting teretz. You know when we're concerned that a weasel is going to come around? On the 14th, Erev Pesach. But on the 13th, we're not concerned. Why? These weasels are geniuses. The weasel comes in, he looks at the calendar. Oh, it's the 13th. He sees chametz everywhere. He says, I'm good today. I don't have to go hide. But on the 14th, he looks around, he gets a little nervous. He sees people are getting rid of the chametz. So then he hides it. Omar Rava. I was mamish laughing when I read this. Is a chulda a navi? But I also think Fischl would love this. I think it's a pun on words. Chulda was a woman Neviah. She was a Navi. So it's a play on words. Vichi Chulda Neviahi. What is this Chulda Neviah? Is she like the famous Chulda Hanavi? Hanaviah. The Yada Da'idna Arbeisa Afi Ad Lurto Mishayro Metamro. What? She knows that they're not going to bake more bread during the day, that they're getting rid. What's going on here? You're talking about a Chulda, a weasel. Elo Amarov, I don't like your pshat abayo. Mashem Mishayro Nechena Betzino. Rav is having a hard time today. On Amud Aleph, he has that Bam Kasha, Mike Kushya over here. What's going on here? Mashem Mishayro Nechena Betzino. Shematito chulda b'fonenu, says Rava. Not that I'm choishish that a weasel is going to come and take it. If he comes and takes it right in front of our face, we're going to have a big problem. Erev Pesach, we're trying to do the mar and the charoises and all the stuff. All of a sudden, we have to go check our house again because the chulda took out the chametz right in front of our face. Tanya Kibbutz say the Rava, and he's not just making this up, Rava. There's a Bryce that says exactly like Rava. What should he do? The key word here is right in front of our eyes. Take the chametz. Rav Mari Omar. Okay, another pshat. And that is, it actually happens to us a lot. Happens in my family, you know. Somebody sent me, I forgot who it was, I think Yisrael Shalitsky sent me, that in New York, I mean, this is not as big of a chiddush as salt water for the Seder, but they also sell 10 pieces of bread, numbered. 10 pieces of bread, because just in case you don't have silver foil, and you don't know how to make the 10 pieces, you don't know how to count, there you have it, and it comes, maybe it's interesting, because it comes with the bags, you put each piece back to where it came from. Great. But if you have on your countertop 10 donuts, you bought a dozen donuts from Dunkin' Donuts, or Chas v'Shalom, not Dunkin' Donuts, from Schmunkin' Donuts, whatever, the fruit place, that sounds like Dunkin', but it's not Mamish Dunkin'. Schmelk's Donuts. And you know you had a dozen, and all of a sudden, one of the donuts is missing, and none of your kids are fessing up to it. So you have a big problem. Now you have to go check out, you have to check the chametz. That's a halacha l'maisi. You see here the bays. If you had 10 and now one is missing, you got to check it all. And that's what the concern is. So Amari is kind of helping Rava out. It doesn't necessarily have to be befanenu that you see it. It's a rare case that a weasel is going to come right in front of everybody, grab a donut from the kitchen table and run. Okay, however, one thing that is, you know, you went last night, you wanted to prepare that the oilam has geshmak chametz right in the morning, and something is missing. You know for a fact something. Now you have to check the entire house. So that's why it says hide it nicely, put it in a safe, put it in a real place that the chulda can't get to. All right, here goes the famous sugya. Teisha chanuyos. Says the Gemara, Teisha tziburin shel matzah v'echad shel chametz. You have 9 piles of chametz, of matzah right in front of you. 1 is chametz. V'asa achbar u'shokal. And comes a mouse, a rat, and grabs 1. V'lo yadinon I matzah shokal, I chametz shokal. Hainu teisha chanuyos. This is the case of 9 stores. This is an unbelievable riddle if we have time. My brother-in-law asked me this riddle. It was my faher, my official faher from my shver. Before I got engaged, I didn't meet my shver yet, so my brother-in-law asked me this question. I'm not kidding. I'm not that good at riddles, but this one, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me siyat d'shmaya boof. If you have 10 piles of books, and each pile has 10 books. 10 piles of books. Each pile has 10 books. And each book weighs 1 pound. But 1 pile, each book weighs 2 pounds. And you could put it on a scale that gives you the weight. One of these digital scales. You have 1 shot to put as many books as you want on the scale. How do you figure out which pile is the pile of the 2 pounds? That's the riddle. Very good riddle. It's not a tricky riddle. It's a really good riddle. So, it says over here, I'm sure in the chat, you're going to start, I'm not telling you the answer. Again, there's 10 piles of books. Each pile has 10 books. So you have 100 books. And each book weighs 1 pound. But 1 pile, the books weigh 2 pounds each. And you have 1 shot on the scale. You can put as many as you want on the scale, and from that you could tell which one of the 10 piles is the odd pile. So you have here 10 piles. 9 are matzah. 1 is the odd one. It's chametz. Hainu. So v'lo yadinon, and we don't know which one did the mouse take from. Hainu teisha chanuyos. That's the story of 9 stores, which we're going to see in a second. Peirash v'osa achbar u'shokal. What if chametz fell off the pile to the front of all 10 piles? So it's not from a defined pile. It's all by itself, and a mouse comes and takes it. Hainu seifa. That's the second part. Beautiful. This is literally a famous sugi in Shas, and it encompasses many halachas here. This is not Teisha chanuyos kula moichrim basar shchuta. I always love this sugi. Why? Because today, my chavrusa hates when I say this, but I got to say it anyway. Today we're so makbid. We don't eat landau and we don't eat this. Only eat the charedis and that and that. But over here you have 9 stores. I have no idea what the hechsher is, and I find a piece of meat. I went in there and I took out, but I'm not sure. It's possible it's 100% treif, but it's possible it's not. I could eat it. Why? Because there's roiv. Most of the stores over there are kosher meat. So he said, no, but they're all, in those days it was everything Eid Charedis. Okay. 10 stores. 9 are 100% kosher, and one of them is Basa Nevela, like that store in Indianapolis. I used to go to Indianapolis. I have property there, so the guys the Goyim used to tell me, you want to eat kosher food? There's a place. Sure. I go there and it says kosher. But it says kosher style. It was treif chazer, but in big giant letters, kosher. So that was the 10th store. It said kosher style. You go in, and all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, I have no idea which store I went into, so you are asur to eat that meat. Ubenimtza, but if you found meat on the sidewalk, halach achar roiv. Unbelievable. You could eat this meat. I don't know if it's Landau, Reuben, El Charedis, OU. I don't know. There's no stempel on it at all. You could eat it. And there's also a 10% chance that it's 100% treif. You could eat it. What's going on here? So here are the 2 concepts. Kol kavua kemetzah mechtzadami. Meaning, when you go into something stationary, like 10 stores, you are going into them. They are kavua. They haven't moved. So no matter what, even though they are the roiv, 90% of the stores are kosher. You don't have 90%. You don't have a roiv. You have 50-50. So this meat went into them, into the store, and they are stationary. The meat that you bought has a 50% chance of being treif, so you cannot eat it. Called kavua kemet mechzadam. The second rule is called the parish, meruba parish. So if the meat came outside onto the sidewalk, it's separated. It went away from them. Now we go by the roiv. The roiv, most stores, 9 stores are kosher. Memela called the parish meruba parish. So, if the mouse went to the 10 piles are kavua, they are stationary. Then it comes, we treat it as mechza al mechza, 50-50, and memela you have to check the entire house. But if part of the pile fell off to the front, so that's parish. The halacha is meruba parish. Then that piece of whatever it is came from the 9 piles of matzah and not from the 1 pile of chametz. And memela, it's you don't have to check the house. And Baruch Hashem, I see Dr. Shamroth. Finally, last time I gave you a shout out, it was on that one day that you weren't there. So okay, he's with us since I don't even remember when, Me'ila or something, way before brachas. He came it was that time in Sukkot, I think. He came to his son-in-law Menachem Mata's house, and he saw the shir. He came for an omelet, but he ended up listening to the shir, and that was it. So did Gary Ben Moshe. That was the last time. They both regret that omelet. It was a very expensive omelet. Zog the Gemara. Shnei Tziburin. What happens? Yeah, did we say the words here? Say it inside. There's 9 stores, 1 sells nevela, 9 sell kosher. He doesn't know which one. Why? But if you found a piece of meat on the sidewalk, it's called the parish. Meruba parish. You have 2 piles, one is matzah, one is chametz, 50-50. And right in front of them you have 2 houses. Great mices. Okay, this is all theory. What happens in theory? Like, how do we pass in halacha? Not that this mice ever happened. 2 mice come, each one grabs a piece, and they run off to the respected houses. We don't know who went where. Did the chametz go into the checked house? Did the chametz go into the non-checked house? What's going on? Which one went where? That's similar to the story that we have with Trumas and Meisters. This is not. It says in the Mishnah. You have 2 boxes, one is chulin, one is truma. And right in front of those boxes, you have these large vats full of fruit. One is truma, one is chulin. Chulin fell into one, truma fell into the other. We don't know which one fell into what. Mutarin. Everything is mutar. Why? Shani oimer chulin te chulin naflu, v'truma letech truma nafla. So by truma, we say most likely the truma fell into the vat of truma, and the chulin fell into the vat of chulin. So to by us, the chametz went into the house that wasn't checked. The matzah went into the house that was checked. Shema Yisrael. Says the Gemara, in our days when Truma is only the Rabbanon, so I could say such a concept. Top of Yud Amud Aleph. The chametz the Raisa miyamrinon. Do we say it in the Raisa? Says the Gemara, and that's what Tosfos and all the Rishonim asked before anyway. Oh, the b'dikas chametz the Raisa. The Rabbanon, the whole concept of the Rabbanon. That's why Tosfos wonders what's going on here with roivs and not roivs. It's only the Rabbanon. The Raisa, be'beto ba'almos hagi, as we learned, midar Raisa, all you need to do is be involved in your heart. The whole concept of b'dika is only the Rabbanon. So Mamela, it's similar to the Truma the Rabbanon that we say, most likely the chametz went to the chametz, and the matzah went to the matzah. Have a wonderful Gishmakadei.
אם אבינוס תשמריה, אדוני מי עמוי. kim fas lechol leman tivorei. כי ניסיון כבשנה ולברוך אלתי. נפשילנו משלמים לבויקר, שומעים לבויקר. יחל ישראל על אדוני, כי אדוני יחסה בהרבה מפתור. ויפתס ישראל מכל בני סב. אחינו כבי ישראל, נשם בשר ושבעים דבבר ובבר בשמיים ואנחנו מנהם ותים צהוב וחמפלה ולא יכול לשבת בגבלה.
אמן. Wunderbar. You know, I don't know who said that, but the Stefanskys are Swiss, and I used to hear the Stefanskys say that. Wunderbar. I think it's Schweizerdeutsch, by the way. It's not Yiddish. Who said that? Who said Wunderbar? Yeah, it's Schweizerdeutsch. Yeah. Have a good one. Ah.
That's the right way, not Yompino. Belly, I heard you pointed out my dad. Ellie, you missed.
You're happy I pointed it out?
Yeah, he said hi.
Ah, but he left the middle of the shir. I noticed he disappeared in the middle.
Have a great day, everybody.
Barak is on. Wow. Beautiful. Tomer Levy is on. Rabbi said Tomer Levy is on. How you doing, Tomer? Who? One minute, Yosef, you didn't tell me. Was I right about the bobblehead? Is it Harry Shalom?
I'm only going to tell you if you give me a definitive. This is who I know it is. I'm sorry to help you tomorrow and shit.
I don't know. It looked like Harry Shalom from the back. It didn't. It was not a Hasidic guy. I thought it's Yisrael Goldstein, but it looked in the picture. There's a picture of somebody with the bobblehead, and they said, but it's his back. I couldn't really tell 100%. I should look again. Okay. Yisrael, you know who it is. Got it.
Well, use my Shmooze.
Oy vavoy.
By Simon Cohen.
Where was it?
And Simon's on Zoom.
We had lots of Daf Yomi boys there.
We had MDY represented.
Yeah, you had there's a new guy on here, Avremi Cohen. I think he's gone now. Also Tomer Levy was singing. Tomer Levy, say hi Tomer. Hi Tomer. Tomer Levy was singing. Shalom Kinari, Yuval Melamed.
You're not going to believe it, Simon. You're not going to believe it. I just put one and one together. I was in the house that you were singing at while you were singing.
Really?
Yeah, I was in Reichman's house. And I actually took a video of you guys singing.
You even come and say hello? I can't believe
I didn't realize it's you. I thought it's just Yuval Melamed.
much better looking in real life.
You guys were on the mountain, like 100 feet past the house, right?
Yeah.
I went to see that house, Reichman's house. I was touring, and all of a sudden I hear them singing. I saw Yuval. I saw him like coming into the kitchen. That's so interesting.
Yuval's amazing.
Did it come out nice? Did the sound come out nice?
I think the choir were fabulous. The chazan was mediocre.
You were the husband, right?
Simon, I have a very good video of it from a distance. Then I went to look at another house, and it overlooks everything, and you see you guys and whatever. It's a cool video if you want to see it.
You can't buy Shmaya's house. We need it for all our videos, right?
Trust me, he has a better one up his sleeve. That's what he does for a living. But I don't think my wife wants that one anyway. It's too modern for her.
It's too far from MDY and it's outside the good area.
So you should know that David Feinberg was on last night. We had like hundreds of people on Zoom, and streaming live. And he's typing to me in the chat, MDY, MDY. And in the end, I chapped. He wanted me to do a sponsor for MDY. Hey guys, see you tomorrow morning. So the next Sunday we'll do a plug for MDY.
David Feinberg. Wow, unbelievable. Wow, Mamish, a loyal member.
In the chats, people should see it.
Kol hakavod.
In competition with Yeshua.
David, did you get flagged as spam?
What's that?
Did your comments get flagged as spam and now you can't make those comments anymore?
No. I mentioned all the people who are on the Daf Yomi, even Eli Stefansky I mentioned, even though he didn't come to my concerts. Okay, it's fine.
So, one minute, Simon, tell me about the concert. How many people came on live?
Have a good day, Mati.
Ellie, thank
Mati,
you.
have a great day.
Simon, who's Paul?
Who's Paul? Paul Hamburger. He is a guy. Actually, he's also on this shield. Paul Hamburger is on this shield.
He's from Manchester, yeah?
He's from Manchester. He lives in Renana.
I remember him.
You remember him? Wow.
Paul Hamburger, sure I remember him. Then he lived in Manchester.
Okay. So he's actually on this DAF, as he says from Manchester. He's on this DAF.
Yes.
And he loves Rav Eddie's chair. He's completely hooked. He's the guy you see with me riding, Eddie. Remember there's this guy riding on the bike?
I don't think I saw somebody riding with you. I just see you riding.
Elliot,
Robert Links. Robert Links is on also.
So
I
there's
think
two
you
of us
need that
with
bubblehead next to your laptop for the YouTube video.
What'd you say? Do what?
Put the bubblehead to the side of the laptop for the YouTube
the
video.
left, to the left.
It's right there.
Simon, you forgot Robert Links. Who's on also? Robert Links.
Okay.
That's nice.
More.
That way you're in the shot.
Oh, sorry, Mark Stroll was also there. Big time in cover.
I'm gonna shut off the YouTube. I just got another email today that the guy appreciated that that the YouTube guys could see what's going on in Zoom later on. So everybody wave goodbye to the YouTube guys so they feel that they're part of it.